Closing letters. August 26, 17. You have read this strange and terrific story, Margaret. Does your blood not boil in horror? I believe what Frankenstein has said. The creature exists. The sight of the monster, which we saw from our ship, was enough proof. Sometimes I try to get from Frankenstein the details about how he made the monster, but on this point he is firm. Are you mad, my friend? He asks. Where would this lead you? Would you also create for yourself and the world such an enemy? Learn from my miseries. Do not seek to add to your own. Frankenstein discovered that I had written notes about his story. He asked to see them, and then he corrected them in many places. Mainly, he gave life and spirit to the conversations he had held with his enemy. Because you have written my story, I want to make sure it is accurate, he said. It has been a week since he finished his story. I wish I could help him, but he doesn't want to live any longer. The only joy he looks forward to is to give his shattered spirit up to peace and death. He enjoys only one thing now. He believes that when he sleeps, it is not just dreams that come to him, but the beings themselves who visit him from a remote world. Our talks are not always just about his own history and misfortunes. He knows a great deal about literature, and he speaks with great eloquence. What a glorious creature he must have been in earlier days. He seems to feel his own worth and the greatness of his fall. When younger, he said, I believed I was destined for some great work. I believed that my talents might prove useful to my fellow creatures. But all my hopes have come to nothing. I have fallen, never, never again to rise. I fear that Frankenstein will not live long. The only thing he is interested in is destroying the creature. Once that is accomplished, he wishes only to die. September 2nd, 17. My beloved sister, I write to you surrounded by danger and not knowing whether I shall ever see you or England again. I am closed in by mountains of ice that threaten every moment to crush my vessel. The crew looks to me for guidance, but I have none to give. You will probably never receive this letter. You will never find out what happened to me. You will be waiting for my return. Years will pass, and you will not know whether to hope or despair. Oh, my beloved sister, this is more terrible to me than my own death. Heaven bless you and keep you happy. September 5th, 17. Even though you will probably never read these papers, I must record what has happened. We are still surrounded by mountains of ice, still in danger of being crushed by them. The cold is excessive, and many of the crew have already died. Frankenstein's health is failing, and I do not think he will last long. Today, 6 sailors came to my cabin. They had been sent by the rest of the crew. They wanted me to promise that if the vessel should be freed from the ice, I would instantly turn the vessel southward. I did not give them an answer. I would rather die than return in shame, my purpose unfulfilled. Yet I do not feel that I can risk the lives of all my men for a cause that we may never accomplish. September 12th, 17. It is settled. We are returning to England. I have lost my hopes of glory, and I have lost my friend. On September 9th, the ice began to move. Roarings like thunder were heard in the distance as the island split and cracked in every direction. On the 11th, the passage toward the south became perfectly free. When the sailors saw this, a shout of joy broke from them. Frankenstein, who was dozing, awoke and asked what all the noise was about. They shout, I said, because they will soon return to England. Do so if you will, but I will not. I am weak, but surely my guiding spirits will give me strength. Saying this, he tried to get up from the bed, but the effort was too great for him. He fell back and fainted. At length he opened his eyes. He breathed with difficulty and was unable to speak. The ship's doctor told me that he had only a few hours to live. I sat by the bed, watching him. Presently he spoke to me in a weak voice, saying, Alas, I feel that I shall soon die, and he, my enemy, will still live. That he should live to be an instrument of evil disturbs me. Yet this hour is the only happy one I have enjoyed for several years. The forms of the beloved dead flit before me, and I rush to their arms. Farewell, Walton. Seek happiness and peace and avoid ambition. It leads only to misery. His voice became fainter as he spoke. Finally, his eyes closed forever. Margaret, what can I say about the death of this glorious spirit? My tears flow and my mind is darkened by disappointment. But I journey toward England, and I may there find comfort. I am interrupted. What are those sounds? It is midnight. The breeze blows fairly, and the watch on deck scarcely stirs. Again, there is a sound as of a human voice, but hoarser. It comes from the cabin where the remains of Frankenstein still lie. I must arise and investigate. Good night, my sister. Great God, what a scene has just taken place. It makes me dizzy to think about it. I hardly know if I have the power to write about it. Yet the tale that I have recorded would be incomplete without this final and wonderful catastrophe. I entered the cabin where lay the remains of my ill-fated and admirable friend. Over him hung a form that I cannot find words to describe. He was gigantic, yet distorted in proportions. As he looked down, his face was hidden by long locks of ragged hair. One vast hand was extended. Its color and texture were like that of a mummy. When he heard me approaching, he stopped, his exclamations of grief and horror, and sprang toward the window. Never did I see a vision as horrible as his face. I tried to remember my duties concerning this destroyer. I called him to stay. He paused, looking on me with wonder. Turning toward the lifeless form of his creator, he appeared to forget my presence. Every feature and gesture seemed the result of some uncontrollable passion. That is also my victim, he exclaimed. In his murder, my crimes are finished. O Frankenstein, generous and devoted being, what good does it do that I now ask you to pardon me? I, who destroyed you by destroying all that you loved. Alas, he is cold. He cannot answer me. My first thought had been to obey Frankenstein's request to destroy his enemy, but now I felt a mixture of curiosity and compassion. I approached this tremendous being. I was finally able to say, being sorry now will do you no good. If you had listened to the voice of conscience earlier, Frankenstein would still be alive. Don't you think I was always sorry? Did you think that the groans of Clerval were music to my ears? My heart was made to feel love and sympathy. When it received only hatred, it suffered torture that you cannot even imagine. After the murder of Clerval, I returned heartbroken to Switzerland. I pitied Frankenstein. My pity amounted to horror. I felt a horror of myself. But when I discovered that he dared to hope for happiness, then envy and bitter rage filled me with a thirst for vengeance. I remembered my threat about his wedding night, and I resolved to carry it out. I knew that I was preparing for myself a deadly torture, but I was the slave, not the master, of an impulse that I detested but could not disobey. Yet, when she died, I was not miserable. By then, I had cast off all feeling. From then on, evil became my good. The completion of my plan became a hungry passion. Now it is ended. There is my last victim. I was at first touched by his misery, but when I looked at the body of Frankenstein, rage rose up in me. Wretch, I cried. The only thing you are sorry for is that your victim is now out of your power. Oh, that is not true, he said. I do not hope for any sympathy. Once I hoped to meet with beings who would love me for the excellent qualities that I was capable of expressing. I had high thoughts of honor and devotion. Now crime has degraded me beneath the lowest animal. You seem to know about my crimes and his misfortunes. However, his story told you nothing about the months of misery that I endured. For while I destroyed his hopes, I did not satisfy my own. Still, I desired love and friendship, and I still was rejected. Am I to be thought the only criminal when all humankind sinned against me? Why do you not hate Felix, who drove his friend from his door? Why do you not hate the man who shot me after I saved his child? No, I am to be spurned, kicked, and trampled. Even now my blood boils as I remember this injustice. It is true that I am a wretch. I have murdered the lovely and the helpless. I have strangled the innocent as they slept. I have pursued my Creator to ruin. There he lies, white and cold in death. You hate me, but I hate myself even more. Fear not that I shall commit any more evil. My work is nearly complete. Neither you nor anyone else must die to accomplish that which must be done. Do not think that I shall be slow to perform this sacrifice. I shall leave your vessel on the ice raft that carried me here. I shall seek the most northern point of the globe. I shall collect my funeral pile and consume to ashes my miserable body. I shall die. I shall no longer feel the agonies that now consume me. Where can I find rest but in death? Farewell, I leave you and all of humankind. Farewell, Frankenstein, soon I shall die. My ashes will be swept into the sea by the winds. My spirit will sleep in peace. Farewell. He sprang from the cabin window to the ice raft that lay close to the vessel. He was soon carried away by the waves and lost in darkness and distance.